The XCAT World Championship has arrived right here in Dubai. That's right, the city of glass and dreams is playing host to this season's grand finale. The championship race is truly on, and the city that gave us the Burj Khalifa is going to give us an XCAT champion.
Of course.
Hello and welcome to the UIM XCAT World Championships. Thank you for joining us live, where there is a huge amount of action in store, not just today, but over the next 2 days. So make sure that you get yourself your snacks, clear your diary, because this is an XCAT championship you don't want to miss. We are here in the incredible glass city of Dubai. And this is where the 12 teams, 24 pilots are going to be battling it out to be named the new XCAT champion. Now, we've just had free practice, which means, well, the guys have had a chance to go out, experience the water, which I'm reliably informed is somewhat choppy today. And they're all going to come in now, have a little debrief, and then the real competition can start, because what you're about to watch is the pole position competition. Now, if you are an experienced viewer, fan, audience member, and general cheerleader of the XCAT, you will know that this is where the teams go out and put themselves against the clock. And the reason they do this is because it is hugely important to get the most favourable position in the muster point before you head out and take to the actual competitive circuit tomorrow. As you look across the boats, the absolute incredible machines that are going to be fighting it out with each other, it's important to remember that this isn't the first few events of this championship. The teams have moved across from Fujairah, where we've already had 4 of the tightest races you could imagine. And actually, the championship at the top of the table couldn't be any tighter. So we have Dubai Police, who are currently in the lead. And considering the fact that they are now on home territory, which is, I would say, an advantage, they've also just come back from free practice, top of the billings. And that means that they should be reliably confident to do a good job when we head out back to the course in around about 5 minutes. But of course, they're not alone at the top. In second position, we have Abu Dhabi 5. And as it happens, Abu Dhabi 5 have had an incredible practice as well. So they headed out into the water earlier on and pushed Dubai Police in free practice all the way. Now, considering that that wasn't actually competitive in any way, it really does highlight just how important it is to each and every team to do well every opportunity that they have. And as we move on to third place in free practice, well, it's Team HPI that have come along and they've managed to get the best out of their vessel during free practice. Now, what's interesting is that third place in the championship, as we lead into these final 2 races, the important 2 races, the vital 2 races, is that we have 6 who usually qualify so well and are currently sat 3rd in the championship. Well, then they didn't have a great time out there today. Now, the conditions are somewhat choppy. However, when you chat to Tommaso and the team at 6, they do say that they prefer the more inclement, choppy waters. It's something that they feel that their boat is more competitive on. So it really does open us up to a finale of all finales, because of course we have had a short break from the XCAT Championship over the last few years, and this is essentially big. So as we head into the pole position race, it's really important to understand just how challenging, but also how different this course is going to be compared to even Fujairah, which is one of the most competitive courses to date, as it took place in the harbour, but also in the open sea. Now, something that's been added to the championship for the next 2 rounds is something called the X point. Now, it's very, very difficult on certain occasions for these incredible vessels to overtake as they head around the course and all of the obstacles, the short laps, the long laps. And so what the championship has done is introduced the X point. Now, this will become clearer across the weekend, just how it will play out, just how the teams will take advantage, or almost more excitingly, how some of the teams will be disadvantaged by this particular invention, institution. Maybe this will be a point of conversation for very many months to come at the end of this championship. But it works like this. When you have a vessel, an XCAT, within 2 seconds of the when you have the vessel within 2 seconds of the vessel ahead and 50 meters behind, then you can go for the overtake. At which point it changes everything. If you've been gaining on a competitor lap after lap after lap, and then suddenly you find yourself at the X point, your team manager can radio into team control and ask for X pass point to be initiated, changing absolutely every dynamic about the competition. Now, we've just had the whistle from the pontoon, which means that is the signal for the teams to put on their helmets, zip up their suits, and climb into their XCAT vessels. And then away we go. We're gonna get ourselves underway. So they'll head out of the marina here at Jumeirah and round across to the course, which is only around about 600 to 700 meters. They'll make their way over to the course, which, if you were completing an entire race, is 63.5 nautical miles long, which is quite the distance. That's 110 kilometers to complete a race. But for this, they're going to go around, and it is relatively simple, or you would imagine so. The quicker you are, the better you do. The better you do, the higher up the leaderboard you will finish, which means you get the most favorable position in the actual races that will be taking place tomorrow, and then the grand final, which will take place on Saturday. Now, it might sound relatively simple. Go round as quickly as you humanly can. But it is not that simple. You have got 2 pilots in each of the boats. One of the pilots controls the throttle and the gradient, the tiller, and they are essentially responsible for keeping the boat as level as humanly possible. Now, there are things that the teams can do before they head out onto the water. There's a change of propeller. You can change the height of the 2 400 horsepower Mercury engines, and as you can see, they are of course incredibly aerodynamic, which does make a difference. Even though you're in the water, you have to be like a shark, as slippery as possible, like a XCAT torpedo, if you will. So you'll head out there. Pilot number 1 will be in charge of the tiller. Pilot number 2 is in charge of the steering. So before they even go out for qualifying in their pole position race, they're going to have to find themselves working as a unit. And some of the teams have done that better than others. But as they head out, you'll be able to follow all of the action live right here, live from Dubai. And the city itself is proving to be an incredible backdrop for this competition, because there is almost no vista like it in the world. And it does provide, I suppose, the home advantage for a couple of the teams. But we're watching the backdrop come into absolute view. And I suppose there's almost no better image to inspire the drivers to do well, as they have that backdrop to come back to. Now, as the teams get prepared, it's going to be an incredibly tight competition. They've got themselves ready to go, and it's interesting to understand just the heritage of XCAT. And the XCAT competition, as we already know, due to circumstances outside of anyone's control, has taken a break of nearly 2 years. But during that break, we've had new teams added to the competition. Some of those teams didn't even see the boats, the XCAT performance machines that they were purchasing, until way after the fact. They opened the crate, looked inside, and that was the first time that they saw their XCAT machine. So for those teams that are brand new to the championship, it is already a victory, already a cause for celebration, for the fact that they have managed to get to the venues, get themselves into a competitive state of mind, and then complete what has been already quite a grueling season. So we've had 4 races already, and those races in Fujairah, for some of the teams, was the first time that they went out. And if you can imagine, put yourself in the seat of one of the pilots. You may never have driven a more powerful specialist vessel than the XCAT vessel that was put before you. And at that point, you've very quickly got to decide, almost literally, whether you're going to sink or whether you're going to swim. Now, the championship, the leaderboard, does reflect some of the difficulties that some of the teams have had over the last 6 or so months. But with every single round, the championship, the grid, the paddock gets a lot more competitive and tighter, which is why we are now in a position, as we head out to the pole position races and free practices that we've seen not only today, but the teams are out practicing out in the bay yesterday as well, that you could pretty much cut the tension with a knife, and the difference in points is razor thin. So at the top, just to remind you before the vessels head out, we've got Dubai Police. Now, there's a good reason why Dubai Police are called the Legends, because there is simply no better word, adjective, phrase to describe what this team has achieved over the last 5 or 6 years. They just perform over and over and over again. Now, they came into Fujairah in a very strong position, well practiced, well versed, and obviously a team that have been together for a long time. And what that means is they hit the water running. So they lead the championship on 90 points at the moment, and they did leave the last few rounds in Fujairah with 3 podiums. Not an easy thing to do. Then on the flip side, as we head into the pole position competition imminently, you've got what I would like to describe as pole position specialists, the duo that pilot and throttle Team 6 in quite a striking livery. I challenge anyone to miss it when they're out there on the water. It is quite spectacular. Obviously, I have no favourites, but if it was based on looks alone, I tell you what, they might be winning some points with a small rosette for that one. But they are specialists at getting themselves the best possible racing line when they head out for pole position racing. They did incredibly well in the last few races and in the last few pole position sessions for sure, but they have struggled to convert that into outright wins. So although they're sitting third in the championship, and the gap between second and third in the championship is only 4 points. So Abu Dhabi 5 are sat in second place on 78 points, and then 6, well, they're sat there on 74. Now, considering that there's 35 points on offer for a win, we could actually be finishing tomorrow evening with the championship more open than we could really have ever dreamed of when we started those engines last weekend. So as we head out to see how these incredible machines are going to do, there's an awful lot to be excited about. So just a little bit about the paddock and how XCAT works, because it is incredibly interesting. And the PaceCat I'm just witnessing at the moment, which essentially acts as the starter pistol, the final flag, the checkered flag, and the almost an arbitrator, referee, clerk of the course, if you like. They are out there just running the course at the moment, making sure that it's clear, that it's safe, and fundamentally that we're ready to go for this pole position setup. But let me bring you back to the paddock. Now, XCAT is not just a competition between teams, between vessels, and a chance for viewers, fans of powerboats to see the world. But let's be honest, that's got to be a plus point. It's also a key message about how motorsport and powerboats can be sustainable, how it can be good value for money, both for spectators but also for the teams, because motorsport of any description and powerboats of any description is an expensive thing to undertake. So when this championship was devised, the key underpinning was, how do we make this good for the environment, or as good for the environment as we can, but also how do we make it sustainable and easy for the teams and for spectators to be part of this as much as possible? And the answer is clear. The paddock, the teams, the equipment, the drivers, and of course the XCAT boats themselves, they have to be easily transportable. So everything can be dismantled, shut down, and popped into a container. So a container that you would find easily transportable on any ship or any airliner anywhere in the world. And that means that, of course, there has to be certain regulations in terms of the size, how much equipment you can use, but it means there's a super fair playing field. And a fair playing field means that, of course, the competition is tight, it's competitive, but at the same time, it means that the XCAT Championship can move all around the world with relative ease. Now, of course, there's still a lot of people, there's still the 12, sometimes 13 ships that need to be moved around, but it's still far, far easier to arrive in a beautiful location like we are today in Jumeirah, with the backdrop of Dubai City, the Burj Khalifa, all of the iconic sights, sounds and smells of the city of Dubai. And we can do this repeatedly around the world. It changes the dynamic for fans, it changes the views for you at home, but also it means that from a competitive standpoint, not only is every team as equal as they possibly can be, but at the same time, it means that the conditions change. So even though the last round was an hour and a half away by coach in the Emirate of Fujairah, the conditions here, only 1.5 hours away, are completely different. The course is completely set out in the open ocean here as we look out over the Bay of Jumeirah. Unlike Fujairah, where the competitors spent half the time in the harbour and the other half out in the open ocean. Here, the whole course is out there pretty much open to the elements. It does mean that the water will be choppier. It does mean that the crosswinds will be harsher. And it does mean, of course, that the teams are going to have to work double hard to get themselves across and into those, first of all, pole position laps that will mean that they are competitive come the race timings tomorrow. But at the same time, they're going to have to deal with the pressure that comes with this being the sharp end of the championship. It's going to be one heck of a tight race. But we can see now that the teams are loading up. They're getting ready. They'll have had their pep talks. They'll have been speaking to their team managers about tactics, about the conditions, about all the nuances, but also how their competitors have gotten on in free practice as well, because you can tell a lot about how your competitors for the championship, for titles, for points, how they've been doing after this morning's free run and yesterday's practice as well. And so there's all these nuances at play, and we now have some as well. They've decided now is a good time. They want to go and get themselves ready to go, have themselves the best chance of having calm waters, flat water. It's pretty tough. The wind is okay today. We'll get the trying to get themselves a favourable set of conditions to make sure
Hello everybody, once more welcome ladies and gents to the UIM XCAT World Championship. My name is John and I'll also be with you along this incredible journey. Following the global layoff for sporting events globally and petrol heads around the world itching to get back on the water, you can finally rejoice as the cats are finally back. From the 9th until the 11th of December, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme of the powerboating world, will be locking horns with each other on the majestic shores of the City of Gold, Dubai, for the Dubai Grand Prix. Now's about the time to get excited, folks. This is the second and final event for the 2021 season, which will crown the much coveted UIM XCAT World Champion. Today we're here for the pole position. For those who are uninitiated, pole position refers to the position at the front at the start of a race, typically given to the team with the best qualifying time, or the so-called pole sitter. Now, so far as it stands, we have Dubai Police, backed by its namesake in first place with Arif Al-Zafain and Nadir bin Hindi, followed by Abu Dhabi 5 with Rashid Al-Tayer and Majid Al-Mansouri in second place. In third place we have the Monegascan Tommaso Poli and the Italian Matteo Nicolini. Now the battle between the three, particularly for second and third place, is set to be a hard-fought one and I must say a particularly exciting one. Make sure to keep an eye out on these three boats as they put the throttle to the max. In fourth place, we have Team Abu Dhabi 4 with the seasoned Sean Torrente and Faleh Al Mansouri, followed by Victory Team, held by Eric Stark and Mohamed Al Yamahi in fifth. The Russian duo of New Star, Mikhail Kitashev and Dmitry Vandyshev in sixth, and 222 Offshore Giovanni Capitella and Darren Nicholson in seventh. Now moving into more members of the Italian Armada, Team Pasta Amato with Alfredo Amato and Saul Bubraco lie in 8th position, whilst HPI Racing with brothers Schiano Di Colla, Rosario and Giuseppe are in 9th, always under the watchful guidance of their team manager and father, Antonio. Team Foresti Esuardi with Roberto Lopiano, particularly jealous of that name, and Gianpaolo Montavoci in 10th. Team Kuwait with Abdulatif Alomano and Mustafa Al-Dashti in 11th. And last but definitely not least, newly revamped Team GB with Scott Williams and Martin Campbell in number 12. As you can see, the boats are on the water on this lovely day in Dubai, particularly hot one, treating the drivers to some good conditions. Now, let us take a quick glance at the schedule for the week at the UIM XCAT World Championship. Following today's pole position, we will have race 1, which will take place tomorrow at 2:30, that is GMT +4. Whilst on Saturday we have pole position at 11:30, and at 3 o'clock we'll be buckling up for race 2, and that will be the final race of the 2021 season. I must say, after spending some time marveling at these incredible pieces of machinery and the incredible pilots at the same time piloting them, trust me, you do not want to miss one bit of this championship. Team Abu Dhabi 5 just skimming right past us. Incredible noise coming out of these machines. For the uninitiated, power boats consist generally of quite a high power to weight ratio and a hull design. So all hulls are designed to do one of only two things, either displace water or ride on top of it, as you can see. This allows for easy planning, allowing for higher speeds and improved handling. Also, the shape of these power boats is super streamlined, so this will minimize air resistance and drag, further increasing speeds. So if we're talking about speed, if you have a need for speed, you're at the right place. These boats are powered by two Mercury Racing 400 ROS outboard engines, producing a whopping 400 HP each, and with speeds topping over 200 kilometers per hour, they're the finest expression of powerboat racing at an international level. As mentioned by my fellow commentator Stu, XCAT did not just stop there. Overtaking can be particularly tricky in powerboating, so this race will contain an exciting new addition, the X-point procedure, or in other words, a passing lane, meaning that should a boat find itself 2 seconds behind the one preceding it, it may take an alternative route, which will facilitate overtakes. So this is set to make the race even more exciting. We currently have a green flag up, so the race will be starting shortly. During the practice race, most teams were very close to each other, only a couple of seconds behind or even milliseconds behind. So this is set to be a good one in Dubai for the Dubai Grand Prix. Team Abu Dhabi 5 in the shots. We have helmed by Rashid Al Tayer and Majid Al Mansouri, both Emirati nationals looking to extend their current form. Here we have a shot of the team managers. Must say the energy is quite palpable. Lovely shot from our fellow production team, overlooking the majestic shores of Dubai, the city of gold. We have Forestier Swati just passing right through the commentating box. Amazing noise coming from these amazing machines. Another incredible fact regarding the UIM XCAT World Championship: the XCAT was born from a need for a more approachable, economical and globally entertaining form of ocean-going racing, blending the circuit Formula 1 approach and the offshore Class 1. One of the incredible things we got to witness over the past couple of days was the way the powerboats were transported through this innovative method of containerization. Yeah, good old Dubai police, backed by its namesake, passing right in front of us. So as I said, we're expecting some great races over the next couple of days, particularly the X-point procedure, the overtake passing lane. These races couldn't get even more exciting. So currently, as we said, in the first position, we have Dubai Police standing in first place with Arif Al-Zafain and Tanvir bin Hendi, followed by Abu Dhabi 5 with Rashid Al-Tahir and Majid Al-Mansouri. The fight for second and third place between Abu Dhabi 5 and Team 6 is set to be a particularly difficult one and particularly exciting one. Dubai Police does have a very healthy lead. Should they be victorious in race 1, it would be particularly difficult for Abu Dhabi 5 and Team 6 to compete, but it's never over till it's over, as they say. Another lovely shot overlooking the majestic shores of Dubai and Dubai in the background, Burj Al Arab in the backdrop, and the team managers awaiting. Going over their tactics on how they will be handling the upcoming race. So now we have probably the most aesthetically satisfying boat. Team 6, must say, the most beautiful looking boat. Team 6 currently is standing at number 3 with Tommaso Poli and Matteo Nicolini. As I said, the fight between Team Abu Dhabi 5 and Team 6 is set to be a particularly exciting one, so let's see how they get on. In fourth place, we will have Abu Dhabi 4 with the season Sean Torrente and Faleh Al Mansouri with 57 points. Whilst followed by Victory Team, helmed by Eric Stark, Mohamed Al Yamahi with 52. Dubai Police warming up those engines. In seventh place, we have a 222 offshore with Giovanni Capitella and Darren Nicholson at 47 points. Eighth place, Pasta Amato with Alfredo Amato and Saul Bubako at 29. In ninth, HPI Racing Team with Rosario Schiano Di Cola and Giuseppe Schiano Di Cola at 23 points. In 10th, Forestier Swati with Roberto Lopiano and Gianpaolo Mondavocchi. Now we have a great shot of Team Victory, currently looking to extend their form. They're currently in 5th place with 52 points. had Team Victory just passed right through the commentator's box, a bit of sprays of water onto the window. The overlookers ready to enjoy an incredible day of racing. Team Kuwait in the shot, currently in 11th place with Abdulatif Alomani and Mustafa Al-Dashti. Currently at 14 points. Incredible how these pilots commandeer these machines. I must say, within the actual cockpit there is very limited visibility and a lot of trust placed between the drivers. Obviously one person handles the throttle and one person pilots the actual XCAT. So you need to be on good terms with your fellow pilots. Here we have more members of team management. See team manager for New Star, the Russian team, the Russian duo made up of Mikhail Kitashev and Dmitry Vandyshev. And now we have HPI Racing Team with Rosario Schiano Di Cola and Giuseppe, his brother, in 9th place with 23 points. The team manager is also their father, so they have watchful guidance. Team management is facilitating the last checks prior to initiating the race. Green flag is up, so this should be momentarily. Must say we can't choose a better spot to have the second and final race of the UIM XCAT World Championship in a magnificent Dubai. Can't get better weather on December.
Sorry.
Just going through the starting positions again, the overall championship. As mentioned, first place Dubai Police, number 2 Abu Dhabi 5, and Team 6 in third. These are the ones to watch. Set to be a very hard-fought battle between these three. And I'm joined with the man with the golden voice in the commentating box.
Hello, hello. What an incredible show.
It's set to be a good one.
It's going to be an absolute humdinger, that is for sure. It's a little bit of a jog down there at the Yeti, but as we get here, how have we been doing? Of course, John has been taking the reins, talking through what has already proven to be quite an interesting setup. And as we suspected, as we were talking out on the jetty, Abu Dhabi 5 absolutely seem to be bossing it at the moment. They went out first, they had a plan, they knew what they wanted to do, and to all intents and purposes, it looks like they're carrying that out. Isn't that right, John?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I said, the fight between them and Dubai Police is set to be a good one, eh? So we're set in for a treat today.
Well, I would certainly not bet against anyone willing to fight against the police. That in itself,
that is a good point.
It is a brave thing to do. But maybe this police don't have a sting in their tail when it comes to the final 2 rounds of this championship. So,
loving the puns.
Well, this is, if you're tuned in for no puns, then
it's the place to be.
It's the place to be. It's the place to be. But as we mentioned earlier on, this is the only place to be if you are a powerboat fan, a fan of motorsport, fan of cats or ex-cats, because this is going to be the tightest powerboat competition in years, if not ever. And it is already already turning out to be one of the tightest pole position competitions that we've ever seen, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And following the global layoff for sporting events around the world, I think people were itching to see some motorsport action. So pretty excited about it, eh?
Yeah, it's about time, isn't it? And of course, we had the first 4 rounds in Fujairah, which saw a mix of abilities, experience, and of course results. But now that we're here in the glass city, the city of dreams, the city that is Dubai, I feel like everybody's going to raise their game a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, they have to. It's a pretty tight battle amongst the leaders. So, yeah, Dubai police in home ground as well. So, I'm sure they're looking to impress.
So this is a conversation I had with Nadir at Dubai Police earlier today. Make sure that you do stay tuned in to watch all of the interviews, all the highlights, and of course the live action. I did pose the question directly. I said, "Hey, do you have an advantage here because it's your home turf?" And he went, "Hey, I'm not going to tell you that." And I said, "Well, that's fair enough, mate."
Cryptic
but it was very, very cryptic. But I think it would be only sensible to deduce they race here. They are from here. The team are a Dubai-based team, and as we see them scorch past our commentary position,
absolutely,
I must say, it looks like they're flat to the water. It looks like they've adjusted to the conditions really, really well. They could, in theory, wrap up this championship tomorrow. But theories don't always come true, do they, John?
No, it's never over till it's over, Stu. So let's see how they get on over the next couple of days. The race should be starting pretty imminently, so strap in, folks, for some pretty intense motorsport action.
It's going to be high octane, high value, highly stressful, I imagine, for the team managers that are littered across the shoreline. We've got spectators as well. We've got individuals that have come to the seaside and gone, wow, I love these machines. And when you look at Boat 6, how can you not enjoy the livery? If there was points on offer for looking good, I don't know if many people would argue that 6 aren't looking pretty sharp out there on the waves.
Absolutely, Stu. Although I must say, I do like Team GB's cargo as well. Good old Lion.
Well, the good old Lion on the front. I don't know how well Lions can swim.
Very good point,
But
Stu.
if they can float, then they've got a fairly good chance. But you've got a Lion chasing down the police. That could be a scary combination.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to get in the middle of that fight.
Can you imagine? Maybe that's something we should start taking bets on. Would a fight between them? Maybe not. Let's not go.
Yeah,
let's not go down that avenue. That's only going to be one winner, and it won't be us for sure.
Absolutely.
But look at that scenery. When you think about the XCAT competition, and you imagine where you could be, the glamour of motorsport. Well, when you have a boat as good looking as Dubai Police, when you have a skyline as, I would almost say, intimidating if it wasn't so beautiful.
Intimidatingly beautiful.
It's intimidatingly beautiful, like all the best people. That's why they put us in the commentary box, because if we were out there on camera all the time, we would intimidate people.
Absolutely.
With our beauty. But it's not about us, it's about them. And as we see Dubai Police getting their feet wet, hopefully not, but as they head around the course, getting their bearings. Of course, they had official practice, they had free practice as well, but none of that matters anymore. Now it's about what happens out there. So they can't let the Burj Khalifa distract them. They can't let the beautiful scenery, the iconic landmarks. They've got to be face down, throttle up, and ready to rock.
Absolutely. I bet the engines are slowly warming up, so we should be getting started very shortly. Team Abu Dhabi 5 in the shot now, with Rashid Al-Tahir and Majid Al-Mansouri in the helm. Look at those boats planned over the water, eh? Pretty incredible.
It's almost like they're flying.
Absolutely.
The way that they keep them level, the way that they keep them quick, it is something that looks... It's one of those disciplines that they make it look easy, and therefore you know that it is one of the most difficult things that you can do on planet Earth, and certainly the single most difficult thing that you can do in powerboating. That's what makes this competition so incredible. It's the fact that these individuals who have to come together as, first of all, teams of two, and then larger teams back at the paddock to make this work, they make it look effortless. They do it for competition for them, but it's certainly enjoyment for us, and that is what we're going to get over the next 2 days, isn't it?
Absolutely. I have to add that they're incredible athletes. They're some of the bravest individuals I've probably ever met. This is not something I'd want to be doing. I wouldn't want to be in their place.
I wouldn't want to be sat where Roberto is now, or Gianpaolo, but you never know. Maybe you get a rush like no other, and that's why they do it. And Roberto and Gianpaolo are experienced pilots. They have had a turn or two in the boat. They know what they're doing. They'll be hoping for a very solid qualifying out there in boat number 16. It's another striking example of when a team get together, turn it on, they can really pull up some seaweed, because it's going to be some incredible performances out there as we head into the pole position laps to determine who is going to start on pole with the most favourable side of the course, which, when we only have 2 races left, does mean that it is incredibly important. Almost the most important, if not the single most important, pole position race of the year, because let's be honest, if Dubai Police have a good run here, it's hard to look past them, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's pretty much in the bag for Dubai Police should they excel in this first race. But I think Abu Dhabi 5 and Team 6 are going to give them a run for the money.
I think you're probably right. Knowing drivers, pilots, racers, and competitive individuals as we do, nobody out there is going to just let Dubai Police walk away with this. It's not in their DNA, it's not in their makeup. They need to give them a fight, and I think they will, because not only is there a fight going on for the title, but all you have to do is take one step down that ladder to second and third, where only 4 points separate Abu Dhabi 5 and Team 6. That is nothing in the world of powerboating. That is, they might as well be tied at this stage. There's so many points on offer tomorrow and on Saturday that it's almost impossible for us to comment or to give any kind of speculation as to who is going to do the best. However, we are being paid to do that, so we're going to have to. So feel free to ignore the waffle, but it could be anybody's. And victory, well, they're sitting 5th in the championship at the moment, and it's only possible for them, really, to go in one direction. Unless, of course, they have an awful weekend, in which case they could go in the wrong direction, couldn't they, John?
That's very true, that's very true. And looking at the lap times at the moment, in first place we have Abu Dhabi 5, 2.3, Dubai Police in second place, 2.349, only 10 milliseconds behind, and HPI Racing Team doing pretty well in this practice racing.
And HPI had a very, very solid official practice. They were sat in third when the teams came in, and we did mention earlier on in the program that I had a sneaky suspicion that they could go out there and replicate that performance. And at the moment, I don't want to give them the commentator's curse, John, but at the moment, it looks incredibly, incredibly positive. They are putting together sector after sector, and at the moment, I think if they could push on from here. You know, there's a second or so, just shy of a second, separating second and third at the moment. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be sometimes insurmountable, but not in this case. In this case, if they find themselves the perfect line, they find themselves a little patch of that beautiful blue ocean that's just kind to them.
Absolutely. And
they could jump.
Mentioned HPI, helmed by 2 brothers, Rosario and Giuseppe, under the watchful eye of their father, which should be an interesting dynamic as having them as a team manager, eh?
And this is the thing. What brothers don't want to do well under the eyes of their father?
Very good point.
The reasons might differ. It depends. I mean, they're older now. They're not going to be put over their dad's knee for poor performances, but they are going to want to do it for family pride. And of course, they know each other so well. They've grown up with each other. They exist because of their team manager. So at that stage, that gives them a competitive advantage. You can almost read your brother's mind when you're in there in that cockpit.
Of course, and in a sport like this, where one person is handling the throttle and the other person is actually steering the cat, it's very important to be on good terms with each other and have some very good relationship, or else it won't go well.
I can imagine that the relationship between pilot and between the individual in charge of the throttle, yeah, there has to be good communication, and I think if you're brothers, the communication is there, but maybe the fallout as well. That's also the other side of that argument.
Absolutely. So now in the shot we have HPI Racing.
And there we go, number 96. Don't know if that's a relevance to when one of the brothers may have been born, but we shall find out. Make sure that you do stay tuned. As we do speak to the drivers, we do have a special feature with the family team HPI that will be coming out, and I strongly recommend that you tune in and watch that, because it is a sight to behold. You know, any kind of family endeavour is the heartbeat, the foundation of motorsport across generations, hundreds of years, not hundreds of years, but I'm sure people did it on horses and in sailing boats as well. But we do now see that some of the teams are getting themselves relaxed and ready for another go. HPI have just looked like they've just set off for a hot lap, in fact, and you can just see them disappearing into the distance there. But don't worry, it's a very, very fast ship. They'll be back. It's a fast boat. And what a view. It really does show the scale of the course. Now, under race conditions, you've got short laps, you've got 2 long laps, and altogether 63.5 nautical miles. And here we have New Star.
Yep, helmed by Mikhail Kitashev and Dmitry Vandyshev, the Russian duo, currently in 6th place, right behind Team Victory. We're helmed by Eric Stark and Mohamed Ali Mahi. Only 4 points behind. I'm sure they'll be having a little fight between themselves. And Team New Star just passing right in front of us.
That looked like a hot one. How are they doing? So in the standings at the moment, they are sat currently in 9th place. I have a sneaky suspicion they're just getting their eye in at the moment, because there's more pace in that cat. I can promise you that.
More incredible shots from majestic Dubai. The
Now,
city of glass and dreams, as you say.
it is the city of glass and dreams. If you're watching this at home, be it sunny, be it cool, how can you not be inspired by that backdrop? It would make me want to do better in my XCAT competition for sure. And it does serve as a very fitting backdrop, because Dubai is all about reaching for the stars, thinking what can be done, what can be achieved, and going for those dreams and reaching for those stars. And maybe one of those stars will be New Star today.
Absolutely. These athletes in the UIM XCAT World Championship are the finest expression of putting the pedal to the metal and pushing everything, pushing themselves to the limits.
And it is quite the physical endurance. Of course, they are manning machines. They're, you could argue that it's the ships and the boats that are doing most of the hard work for you, but that's just not the reality. You know, you've got yourself 2 400 horsepower engines shooting you at around about 200 kilometers an hour across the water. And a little physics lesson, water gets real solid real quick when you're traveling at pace. And so not only do you have the physical exertion that exists and comes from being inside that cockpit, it's hot, it's sweaty. It's not a Range Rover or a Bentley in there. Those seats are designed for speed, not comfort.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's certainly a physical exertion. When they come out, they're going to be losing not just sweat and a little bit of energy, but kilograms at the same time.
Absolutely. And little quick lesson time. Generally, power boats consist of a very high power to weight ratio, and whole design, as mentioned, they're designed to displace water or ride on top of it. So in this case, it will allow for easy planning, allowing for even higher speeds and improved handling. The shape of the powerboats also is super streamlined. So this will minimize air resistance even more, and minimize drag, so further increasing their speed.
So it's almost like they're designed for speed. They're absolute weapons when they get out there, aren't they? Which
That's it.
Is incredible. Thank you for the factoid there. I think
You're very welcome, Stu.
It definitely adds something to the dynamic for sure.
Absolutely. And they're powered by two Mercury Racing 400 ROS outboard engines, so
I see.
it will produce a
Well, that is good to know.
good amount of mileage, eh?
And they're just having a bit of a break now. So the guys have been out there having, well, probably not the easiest time as we've just described there. Let's be honest. But they're having a bit of a break. They're heading back, going to have a little look and see how they've performed. And just having a look at the standings, we have Abu Dhabi 5 currently out there, but it is so close between Abu Dhabi 5 and Dubai Police, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's set to be a good one, man.
I mean, it is a tenth of a second between Abu Dhabi 5 and Dubai Police. Abu Dhabi 5, of course, went out first. They were ready and raring to go, and they had themselves possibly the best run. Could that have been because the conditions were so much more serene than when the other competitors joined them? I suppose the answer is hidden somewhere in that leaderboard.
We can only wait and see till the actual race gets going, and yeah.
And that's where we have it.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi 5 are heading into tomorrow's race as pole sitters. Dubai Police are very close second, but second nonetheless. Now, this probably won't feel too much pressure for the chaps at Dubai Police, but then bringing up third place, HPI Racing Team. HPI, who of course had a very strong practice session. They've had a strong weekend and they've had a fairly strong season.
Absolutely.
And so they get to the point now where we head into race one, and this is what we wanted. We wanted a competition as we headed into what is going to be two of the best races in XCAT World Championship history, across one of the best courses ever designed, and of course we have the added bonus this year, don't we?
Oh yes, we have the X-point procedure. If powerboating couldn't get even more exciting, so overtaking can be particularly tricky on the water, eh, Stu? So this race will contain this new addition, the X-point procedure, or the passing lane, in other words, meaning that should a boat find itself 2 seconds behind the one preceding it, it may take an alternative route. This will make overtaking a lot easier and make the race even more exciting.
It is a very welcome addition to this course. It doesn't need any more excitement, but what have they done at XCAT HQ? Sprinkled just a little bit more excitement on the top. I don't know if we can handle much more, to be honest with you, but it looks like we're going to have to learn pretty quick. But we can say one thing for certain: we have got ourselves a very tight finish as we head into the final two races of this year's championship, the most important two races of this year's championship. And until then, we shall catch you tomorrow for even more action.
Get ready to buckle in, guys.